Happy Friday morning, September 16th, 2022 on Weather United. In this update, we're going to be discussing on Tropical Storm Fiona as it nears the Leeward Islands. If you like detailed weather updates, smash the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my updates. Here's a look at Tropical Storm Fiona on September 16th, 2022 on this Friday morning. If you are watching this from Florida, if you're watching this from Puerto Rico, and we can see with what it looks like right now on our true color satellite imagery, very lopsided tropical storm right now with a naked swirl almost, except just a big explosion here of deep thunderstorm convection that the plane yet has to sample to see if they found any stronger winds than, say, over here on the northeastern side. But also take note of all the feathery cirrus here and some of the low-level cloud filaments really coming in out of the southwesterly direction, which indicates we do have quite a bit of shear, at least over 30 to 40 knots over the system. We can see this also on the water vapor imagery, taking note here with all the darker gray colors here on the western side of the system, and that's why all of a sudden Fiona has lost a lot of its organization, and we're just seeing a lot of deep kind of blobbier type convection, because every time these thunderstorms really develop, they collapse in on themselves because of that mid-level dry air that is in the area. Another way that we could see how strong Fiona currently is a NOAA 2 P3 Orion aircraft that is currently investigating the system and found a pressure of 1,005 millibars, but still is finding tropical storm force winds, of course, on the northeastern quadrant of the circulation. We will wait and see with what the plane finds when it flies through the center again out the southeastern side of the system to see if they do find any stronger winds. But as it stands, tropical storm force winds right here are indicated that I circled in yellow based on satellite-derived data as well as Recon data. So the National Hurricane Center still indicates that this system will remain a tropical storm for the entire 5-day forecast and not explicitly showing a hurricane as of now. However, winds could increase up to 70 miles an hour as it passes to the southwest of Puerto Rico, over the Dominican Republic, and then out over the southeastern Bahamas, with a little bit of weakening depending on how much land interaction it has with the Dominican Republic by day 3 and 4. Winds are at 50 miles an hour, and it is moving off to the west at 15 miles an hour. Tropical storm warnings are issued for the northern Leeward Islands, with tropical storm watches issued for Puerto Rico and Dominica, including for some of the other islands. There is now a 30 to 40% chance of tropical storm force winds on Puerto Rico, with a greater than 60 to 80% chance of tropical storm force winds over Dominica, as well as Guadeloupe and the northern Leeward Islands, with a 30 to 40% chance of tropical storm force winds on Dominican Republic and southeastern Bahama Islands. So when we look over our key messages for Tropical Storm Fiona as of the Advisory 8 package at 5 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time, Friday, September 16th, 2022, let's take a look at this. This is very important. So tropical storm conditions are expected in the Leeward Islands within the warning area by this evening. Tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area across the Virgin Islands beginning on Saturday, and then reaching Puerto Rico late Saturday and Saturday night. Heavy rains from Fiona will reach the Leeward Islands by this evening, spreading to the British and U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico Saturday, and then reaching the Dominican Republic Sunday and the Turks and Caicos Islands Monday night or on Tuesday. This includes the Bahama Islands as well. This rainfall may produce considerable flash flood impacts, including the threat for urban flooding, along with mudslides, and areas of higher terrain could be experiencing some substantial mudslide potential. Fiona is expected to move over to the Hispaniola early next week, and watches could be required for parts of the island later today. Here's a look at the earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds from Tropical Storm Fiona through the next 5 days, and we can see by 2 p.m. this afternoon over the northern Leeward Islands and portions of the Lesser Antilles, and then approaching Puerto Rico by by Saturday morning, with tropical storm force winds also expanding on the Dominican Republic region by Saturday night into Sunday morning, and then the Turks and Caicos Islands possibly as early as Monday morning into Monday night. Now we're going to briefly read the tropical discussion number 8 from the National Hurricane Center, as this is very important. So Fiona remains a sheared tropical cyclone this morning, as noted on satellite imagery. The center of the storm is fully exposed to the west of a large area of deep convection over much of the eastern portion of the circulation. An Air Force Hurricane Hunter aircraft that investigated Fiona found peak low-level winds of around 60 knots, which could support a surface wind of about 45 knots. But using a standard reduction factor, winds are right around about 40 miles an hour, given with what they're saying here. And surface frequency microwave radiometer winds are at about 35 to 40 knots. The latest aircraft fixes indicate that Fiona is still moving south of due west, and its initial motion is estimated to be about 260 degrees at about 13 knots, or about 15-ish miles an hour. The models still agree that Fiona should gradually move westward over the next couple of days to the south of a subtropical ridge across the central and western Atlantic. This brings the center of the storm across the Leeward Islands tonight, and then the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico on Saturday through early Sunday. Then a turn towards the west-northwest, and the northwest is expected to be the concern here, as a weakness in the steering ridge does occur. This would bring the center of Fiona over Hispaniola on Monday, and then into the southwestern Atlantic by days 4 and 5. The NHC forecast explicitly has once again been adjusted slightly south of the previous one, is now near the term, but generally lies near the center of the guidance envelope on days 3 and 5. The short-term intensity fluctuations are possible given the sheared environment asymmetric structure of the storm. However, there are some indications that the environment conditions could become more conducive for strengthening as the storm moves into the eastern Caribbean this weekend. In particular, increasing upper-level divergence and mid-level moisture along the decreased vertical wind shear axis could allow Fiona to become better organized before it reaches Hispaniola. The latest NHC forecast shows a bit more strengthening through day 3, but still lies slightly below the guidance consensus. From there, the intensity forecast is of lower confidence, and the extent of land interaction is still highly uncertain. Taking a look at our global forecasting system model, again, the date and time is on the right side of the screen, so if you're curious of what time I'm looking at here, by the way, this is local time, so you would want to plus 3 hours if you're in Eastern time or if you're in the Caribbean. Very important that when you watch this video that you're able to follow along very carefully. So taking a look here at the next 12 hours, we can see intense rainfall and thunderstorms are anticipated on the northern Leeward Islands by Saturday morning. Some of this could produce very strong winds to tropical storm force, with heavy rainfall and strong winds spreading into the Puerto Rico and Hispaniola area as early as Sunday morning. So if you're in these areas, everyone, please take this very seriously. We're talking about some freshwater flooding and maybe even some coastal flooding due to high surf, as well as some minor storm surge as that moves through the area. When we take a look at the European model, or the Euro model for short, we can see where Tropical Storm Fiona is headed, again towards the northern Leeward Islands, with tropical storm force winds there that are expected throughout this afternoon into the evening hours, and then eventually spreading into Puerto Rico as early as Saturday afternoon into the evening hours. So keep that in mind. We're looking at winds about 25 to 40 miles an hour according to the European model. And then by Sunday morning, September the 18th, we can see tropical storm force winds moving into the eastern half of Hispaniola and the Dominican Republic. And then by that time, going out to day 5, we could see the Turks and Caicos Islands could see tropical storm force winds, with winds about 40 to 50 miles an hour according to the European model. But when we take a look here at the GFS model, it is showing something completely different. Of course, that's what the global model likes to do, and we can see a similar output here throughout the next couple of days, with tropical storm force winds approaching Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, and then by day 5, we have a little stronger system over the Turks and Caicos Islands by the middle of next week, September the 21st. If you found this weather information very helpful, make sure you smash the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future updates. But anyways, I will see you in the next one. Peace!